generally how compulsions work is that they are all done with the express purpose of trying to alleviate discomfort, trying to neutralize those thoughts. But mental compulsions are tricky because they're invisible. So this same person who is anxious about whether or not the surface is contaminated and whether or not they've in fact contaminated themselves with a blood-borne illness might start tracking mentally all of the things that they touch subsequent to the contaminated surface. They might be doing that so that they can come back later and wash those areas or clean those areas somehow. They might do it so that they can remember to wash their hands if they touch those areas again, or so that they avoid touching those areas entirely. So, um, the takeaway here, though, is that not all OCD is visible. Sometimes it is, in fact, all in the individual's mind. And this is incredibly important because the only part of the equation of obsessions, feelings, compulsions that we have any control over is the behavioral piece. So people can't see that they're engaged in some sort of a behavioral response to these obsessions and these emotional experiences, then they will be stuck in their own minds, whether tracking or engaged in any number of different forms of mental compulsion instead of engaged meaningfully with their own lives. And we'll talk about some of the forms that they take. But the basic takeaway here is that mental compulsions are behaviors. They are every bit as much behavior as that hand washing. But they are a lot more difficult to spot. And when you are practicing exposure and response prevention, that gold standard treatment for OCD, it may be very difficult to practice response prevention with hand washing, for example, but people know how to do it. People know how to turn off the sink and to walk away from the sink, although it may be very difficult to do so because of the emotions that come along with that experience. When it comes to mental compulsions, many people don't know how to disengage from thinking, especially without engaging in some sort of thought stopping or pushing the thoughts away through thought suppression. So, hence why it is so incredibly important to help people understand not only that mental behaviors exist, but also how to notice them, interrupt them, and reorient toward what's actually happening in their lives in the here and now.